Hector Macho Camacho was more than just a boxer. He was a phenomenon. With lightning speed, unmatched flair, and the heart of a fighter forged in the streets of Spanish Harlem. He rose to become a three-division world champion and one of the most charismatic athletes boxing has ever known. Famous for his colorful outfits, outrageous entrances, and his signature cry of "It's Macho Time." Camacho electrified audiences wherever he went. Despite a career that brought him glory, fame, and fortune, Camacho's personal demons and legal troubles led to financial hardship in his later years. By the time of his tragic death in 2012, his net worth was estimated at $100,000, a far cry from the millions he had earned. Still, his legacy is priceless. In 2016, he was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, cementing his status as one of the sport's greats. Early life. Héctor Luis Camacho was born on May 24, 1962, in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, to Héctor Camacho Sr. and Maria Matias. He was the youngest of 5 children. When Héctor was only 3 years old, his parents separated, prompting his mother to move the family to Spanish Harlem, El Barrio, New York City, in search of a better life. Life in Spanish Harlem was anything but easy. The neighborhood was rough, poverty was common, and young Héctor was quick to get into trouble. His mother, strong-willed and loving, tried to keep him grounded, but his wild spirit couldn't be tamed. Nicknamed Macho as a child for his fiery attitude, the name stuck for life. Camacho struggled in school, constantly in fights and getting expelled. He was arrested multiple times and even served time at Rikers Island before turning 16. But amid the chaos, he discovered 2 passions, boxing and karate. These became his salvation. A high school teacher, Pat Flannery, saw potential in the troubled teen and helped steer him toward a structured life. Under the mentorship of boxing trainers, Hector began to channel his energy into the ring. He became a standout in the amateur circuit, winning 3 New York Golden Gloves titles and compiling an amateur record of 96 wins and 4 losses. Personal life. Camacho's personal life was as tumultuous as his boxing style. He had 4 sons from different relationships, the most well-known being Héctor Maquito Camacho Jr., who followed in his father's footsteps and became a professional boxer. In 1991, Camacho married Amy Torres, and together they had 3 sons, Justin, Christian, and Tyler. But the marriage was far from stable. By 1998, Amy had filed for divorce and sought a restraining order after a domestic violence incident. The divorce was finalized in 2001. Camacho was later romantically involved with Shelly Salamassi, his longtime fiancée, though they never married. The relationship lasted on and off for more than a decade. As for religion, Camacho wasn't outspoken about his spiritual beliefs. Some reports suggest he held Catholic values growing up, but in later years, his lifestyle was largely secular. Interestingly, his son Maquito would later embrace Islam, crediting his father's tragic death as a spiritual turning point in his own life. Beyond boxing, Camacho flirted with the entertainment world. He appeared in several Spanish-language television programs and reality shows, including Mira Quien Baila and It's Macho Time, a reality web series that gave fans a look into his chaotic life. His infectious personality made him a natural entertainer, whether on the ropes or on the screen. Professional career. Héctor Camacho turned professional in 1980, debuting as a super featherweight. It didn't take long for the boxing world to notice. With blinding hand speed, slick footwork, and a cocky charisma that bordered on arrogance, he was a human firecracker in the ring. In 1983, he captured his first world title, the WBC Super Featherweight Championship, by defeating Rafael Bazooka Limon in a dazzling performance. His ring entrances became just as famous as his victories. Dressed in everything from Roman armor to Native American war gear, Macho made sure fans were never bored. In 1985, he moved up and claimed the WBC lightweight title, defeating Jose Luis Ramirez. His toughest battle came in 1986 when he faced the hard-punching Edwin Rosario. Though Camacho won a controversial split decision, the fight changed him. He became more cautious, more defensive, a strategic shift that critics said dulled his edge but prolonged his career. He continued to dominate, capturing the WBO junior welterweight title in 1989 after defeating Ray Mancini. His record eventually included wins over big names like Vinny Pazienza, Roberto Duran, and Sugar Ray Leonard, whom he stopped in 1997 in what turned out to be Leonard's final fight. But not all went smoothly. He lost high-profile bouts to Julio Cesar Chavez, Felix Trinidad, and Oscar de la Hoya, which showcased the limits of his abilities against elite-level fighters past his prime. Camacho's career spanned an astonishing 30 years. He retired in 2010 with a professional record of 79 wins, 38 by knockout, 6 losses, and 3 draws, an exceptional resume in any era. House tour and car collection. Unlike many boxing superstars, Camacho did not retire to a mansion in Beverly Hills or Miami. Despite earning millions during his career, his lavish lifestyle, legal troubles, drug use, and poor financial management left him with little to show materially. He never owned any famously luxurious estates. Most of his later years were spent between modest rentals in Florida, Puerto Rico, and New York. The extravagant robes and wild costumes he wore in the ring often gave the illusion of wealth, but Camacho lived much of his post-prime life paycheck to paycheck. In terms of vehicles, Camacho had a taste for flashy sports cars in his prime, like custom Chevrolet Corvettes and Cadillacs. But by the 2000s, he no longer flaunted such assets. His car collection was not documented in detail, further evidence that his wealth was lost over time. Camacho never attended college. His upbringing in Spanish Harlem was marked by a constant battle for survival. He left high school early and pursued boxing full-time, where he saw a more promising future than in academia. His formal education was limited, but his street smarts and charisma carried him far. In the ring, he was a professor in his own right, teaching a generation of fighters how to blend showmanship with skill. Cause of death. On November 20th, 2012, tragedy struck. Camacho was sitting in a car outside a bar in Bayamon, Puerto Rico, when 2 masked gunmen opened fire. He was shot in the face, with the bullet exiting his head and lodging in his spinal cord, rendering him brain dead. The driver and friend, Adrian Mojica Moreno, died instantly. For several days, Camacho remained on life support. Vigils were held in Puerto Rico and New York. The boxing world prayed. On November 24th, 2012, his mother made the painful decision to remove him from life support. Hector Camacho died at age 50. The shooting was linked to drug trafficking. Several packets of cocaine were found in the car. For years, no arrests were made, sparking criticism of Puerto Rico's justice system. Finally, in March 2022, authorities arrested 5 suspects in connection with his murder. 2 had already died in unrelated incidents. As of 2025, the case remains open, but Camacho's family continues to fight for full justice. Hector Macho Camacho was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2016, a fitting honor for a man whose name still echoes in boxing circles. His flamboyant ring entrances, fearless attitude, and sharp tongue inspired countless fighters, including many of today's showmen. He's remembered as much for his flaws as for his talents. A symbol of brilliance battling addiction, fame fighting insecurity, and heart overpowering adversity, Camacho's life reads like a boxing match, wild, unpredictable, but unforgettable. His son, Hector Camacho Jr., has tried to keep the Macho legacy alive, both in the ring and through tributes, documentaries, and comic books like Macho Dad. Documentaries such as Macho, The Hector Camacho Story, 2020, and books like Macho Time have further immortalized his name. In the end, Hector Camacho lived the only way he knew how: fast, loud, and unapologetically. From the streets of Spanish Harlem to the glittering lights of Las Vegas, his journey was full of highs and lows, triumphs and tragedies. His boxing gloves may be hung up, but his legacy will forever scream. It's Macho Time,